Hey everybody, welcome back to another film of the week. Hope you guys been enjoying this little series. As far as I can tell anyway, you guys have been quite enjoying it. So we're going to be keeping it up here on the channel. And this one is a very interesting one because um, it would be expected of me to have seen this, but I have not until now. And that film being Aliens, which was written and directed by James Cameron, which is the follow up to Alien, which was directed by Ridley Scott. Um, Stars Sigourney Weaver as well as Michael Biehn, Bill Paxton. As you know, we follow Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, where we left things off with her floating, or kind of just drifting in space, and a random crew finds her in space and they bring her back into the corporation that she was working with, and she's given the choice between staying within a certain rank or getting back to her rank by going on a mission, which involves her going back to old stomping grounds, to old trauma, and uncovering what is a hive of the xenomorphs that she has faced previously. So hence the title being Aliens and not Alien. So, and when you get from Aliens, is similar themes to that of Alien, which is the art of survival and the some of the greedy consequences from corporations and just from individuals who operate in such positions. Um, but what the film, I think, illustrates more so than anything is the power of bondage, specifically between, I guess you could say, a mother and daughter type relationship. Um, and to lay the groundwork properly, Alien is one of my favorite films of all time. I think it is incredible tension, and the isolation that that film takes or utilizes, I think, is just brilliant. And I would argue Ridley Scott's best work. Um, and what we get with Aliens is some of that, but more so spectacle that is utilizing this tension, which does plant the same emotional states that the original does, which is this heightened sense of paranoia and anxiety, and you're just wondering when the xenomorphs are going to pop out. Um, and I think that the craftsmanship from James Cameron here is, because usually with James Cameron's work, specifically with the Avatar films, which I just do not understand, um, I feel sometimes can be a bit, um, um, he has a very wide sort of lens. He loves to represent his environments quite a bit, and thankfully with Aliens, that that type of sensibility is toned down, and it stays within within some of the uniqueness of the original film, which is to say that it does play much smaller than I was thinking it would be. Um, and what you get is something that really promotes like investment, engagement, and fair developments. My quibbles with the film, I would say, are with the performances. I didn't necessarily buy that all of them. I found them to be particularly spotty, and that spectacle that is at the center of it, that new element that is being utilized, I do think um, undermines the the tension that is being utilized for a good portion of it, because it gets these points where it's like the big music and all that sort of stuff, and it becomes sort of typical in that design, and it loses um, that unique element that the original bared, and this was also bearing, um, and thankfully, though, those are the only things that I can really think of that I really had issues with. And also, just as a thing, just as a personal thing for me, I also found the film to not be as scary as the original was. It's more fun, I will definitely say that, than the original. As fun as the original. Um, because I think that what Aliens loses from the original film is that um, is the fear of the horror within an individual creature versus basically just multiple copies of said creature. Because now it's more about the horde, the group of the aliens, and versus the idea of one alien, and having to manifest also within your head what that alien looks like, learning about the alien, all the details of such a thing. You know, I find that the horror of learning this all that through one particular individual creature is much more impactful than that of multiple copies, in my opinion. So it's just kind of the sequel syndrome sort of thing that comes into play. But I think it has really good setup. I think that the pacing and the overall delivery of the tone, for the most part, I think was very satisfying. And high marks to its practicality. I think the practicality is just lovely. It has very sharp very sharp aesthetics to it. And what you get mostly is an entertaining, very earnest, very engaging follow up that, in my opinion, is not as good as the original. I still think the original is just leaps and bounds. I think it's just in the league of its own. Really, I don't believe that Aliens is in that same, because people like to bring up this Aliens in the conversations of like, The Godfather Part Two as like one of the best sequels ever made, or in the context of like Terminator 2, which was also directed by James Cameron. Um, I think that Aliens is a solid piece that I had a really good time with. But I think that what the first film did that made it so impactful for me was its commitment to be um, so distinct in tone. With this, there is a little bit of a familiarity at play with the spectacle being more of a forefront element. And with that, as I mentioned, I feel like it gets that spectacle kind of gets in the way of that tension, and it does trot into familiar territory. And like I said, it does have that sequel syndrome where it's like, oh, okay, now there's just more than one alien, so the fear of the actual creature is kind of gone, or kind of more less apparent. So. Um, but it's still really fun, and really entertaining, and still fairly tense. Um, but in terms of comparing it to the original masterpiece, I don't believe that it is there. What it is, though, it is a very entertaining and like I said, earnest follow up. It definitely earns its place within within that what would be a franchise. Um, because I've seen some other Alien films like Alien Covenant. I've seen bits of Prometheus. This is obviously much better than any of those films. But I would disagree on the argument of Aliens being better than Alien because of the uniqueness in tone and the overall delivery of tone in Alien. I think was much more impactful than Aliens. I think, as I said earlier, to perfectly illustrate it, Alien is scarier, where Aliens is more fun. Um, so it's not as scary, but in overall in overall delivery, it is as fun to a certain measure as the original was. In that the funs are a little bit different. For me a little bit. Like the fun in Alien is that it's scary. For for Aliens, the fun is within the it's adrenaline. It's energy. So and I favor more of the fear factor than I do the adrenaline, idea factor. So, but still very, very, very fun in its own right. So, um, so those are my thoughts on Aliens. I hope I made myself clear at the end there. Basically, Alien, I think I like more because of the fear factor. With this, I enjoy for its adrenaline factor, but comparing between the two, which one I would lean on more, I lean more on the fear factor and find myself more interested in that than what we have here. But still really, really enjoyable. So you guys let me know your thoughts on Aliens if you guys have seen it. It's it's pretty good. And let me know if I should see the other films. I haven't seen Alien 3 or Resurrection or the AVP films, but let me know if I should in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully my thoughts were clear. I feel like I might have maybe been I'm a little lightheaded, so excuse me if my thoughts weren't all there. But I hope my thoughts were clear. Pretty good film. So, but yeah, so those are my thoughts. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.